But so any good thoughts about how you transform the the like those suffering or the wars and the loss of the people's lives and stuff like those?
Well, two things to say on that.
Okay,
one, which I'll talk about in a second, is education. But I think that 9/11 group that I mentioned that went to Japan to help out with 3/11 survivors is a really remarkable case of people who've been a victim of one trauma helping out victims of another trauma. And it becomes a really, from talking with them, that becomes an amazing kind of way of making meaning and new connections out of the past trauma. But I think, for me, education is really critical. I'm a really big believer. Ed Reischauer, who was Kennedy's ambassador to Japan, wrote a book on education in 1972. And in that book, he says that if you really care about the future, then you have to care incredibly deeply about what, first graders and fifth graders and high schoolers are learning, because that is the time when a lot of worldviews are being shaped. And so I really think that, education at all levels, K through 12 is a piece of it, higher ed is a piece of it, graduate education, lifelong education. But I think, we need to constantly be learning and using education as a tool to connect and foster empathy.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I agree, basically, because, I think depending upon the education, that really, it's like a grounded work for the people's mind, especially young one too. And that makes a big difference, because if you fertilize well, when you put seed, then seed grows well. But if you have a rough place and then seed doesn't go well, so I think there is that kind of a way to grow. To have nice flowers, then you should have grounded work well. It may be, they don't consider that important, but yet for me, that's the probably most important parts of the education to begin with.
I think that's really important. Having a kind of well-rounded education that exposes you to a lot of different ideas. One person once told me, you can never see the mountain that you're on. Right?
Oh, it's
maybe that sounds almost Zen. I'm not sure if it's Pure Land, but if education doesn't take you out of your comfort zone and expose you to a different worldview, then you'll never really understand, that mountain that you're on, that worldview that you hold. And I found that to be true for myself. When I first went to Japan, I felt like I learned more about the United States than I ever
I'm sure.
had before. I learned more about myself. And every kind of activity that I try to get engaged with has an element of that. So with OIST in Okinawa, one of the things I love about it is that it's completely international. Students from 50 different countries working together, and so a byproduct of that is they get to learn about other cultures and countries and have conversations about different ideas. All kinds of ways to do this, but getting off your own mountain so that you can see it and then maybe adjust it is something we could all, even myself, do more of.
Because even when you're in Japanese people see the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, experience, but then maybe from the outside or, other countries see the Hiroshima and Nagasaki is also different. So I think that's also very interesting for me too. Even when I left Japan, I'm Japanese now, but then from here point, in a way, atomic bomb is dropped to Japan. But from when I was in, Japan, that was dropped to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, not other place. So so it's just a different kind of simple differences of how people can see. So
Yeah.
from that point, what do you sort of like expect Japan to do, or Japanese people should do? Do you have any
In terms
thoughts?
of the 75th anniversary?
75th, or in terms of anything about the peace, this happened to not just Hiroshima and Japan, but, all the Japanese people. So then maybe Japanese people should have a little more awareness or, things like that.
Yeah, there was a project I was involved with for a number of years that was really powerful, TK. It brought U.S. High school teachers to Japan through different programs.
Okay.
And they would meet in Hiroshima for a day. And we would have the Mihara schools, which is a Hiroshima University Fuzoku Gakko, a kind of attached school of Hiroshima University. And what would happen is groups of middle school students, Japanese middle school students from the Mihara schools, they would form small groups, maybe 20 small groups. And each small group of like 6, middle school kids would each adopt one American teacher for the day.
Oh, okay.
And those kids would take the teachers around. The first part of the day was kind of fun, going and exploring the town and having lunch together. The other part of the day, the students would take turns explaining the Peace Park and like Sadako's Monument or the Peace Bell. And then they would all go to the museum together. It was so powerful, TK, on many levels. But one of the things that was always surprising to me was that for a lot of these kids, even though they lived maybe an hour or hour and a half away from the Peace Park, a lot of them didn't necessarily know a lot of the detail. Just like, American kids don't necessarily know about 9/11.
Even some of us in New Yorker never go to the, what do you call it, the Statue of Liberty.
Right. I mean, this is not unique to Japan. I mean, this happens everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think, it's, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, in my mind, these are events that continue on in a way. They're not necessarily over. They still have resonance. They still impact our world. They're part of global discourse and the way we think about things. And I think it's really important for people all around the world to, understand what happened and what are the repercussions. But I really want, when I sort of look forward, look into the future, like anyone, concerns that I have are, for instance, in Japan, Japan's relationships with its neighbors, America's relationships with countries in Asia or around the world. How can we improve those? How can we make sure that there's greater collaboration and cooperation in the world instead of, I'm really concerned with what I feel, and maybe I'm wrong, but is a kind of growing trend of insularity, of division, of a kind of almost negative nationalism. Nothing wrong with being, proud and of your own country's history and culture, of course, but that love and embrace, if you dig deeply, should connect with everything in the world.
Right. It's supposed
We're
to
all
be
connected. And if we don't see that, it will become incredibly problematic, because the challenges that face the world today are global challenges. Whether you're talking about climate change, pandemics, the future of work, everything is inevitably connected, and we can't solve these problems individually. And so I feel like some lesson that should come out of this remembering the 75th anniversary, I hope, is that we are connected, and we can only solve problems by working together.
I think
from around the world.
Because one of the reasons for me too, always I do the interfaith, for the Hiroshima, Nagasaki, not just my religion or my Buddhism or my school of Buddhism, but that has been for over 25 years I've been doing the inviting, but that's also kind of the same reason that peace, we can't create the peace by our own, but we need everybody to together then create the peace. So that's very important for me. And then so thank you for mentioning that. And since the time is running, but do you have? I wanted to also always wanted to know, curious about how your life works. Some of the statements, some of the words, and so forth make you go moving, towards what do you call it? Yeah, towards the futures, or how you deal with the present, and then they go to the next, projects and stuff like that. Do you have any like your own secret, so-called secret, but keep in your mind something central?
Well, I think I need to seek your advice on how to keep
No. Each one is different, I believe. So
I used to practice Aikido for a long time.
Oh, is that right?
Okay. And I always loved how Aikido, sort of had an idea around it that no matter what was going on, you try to remain centered.
Okay.
That's a very hard thing to actually do.
Yeah, of course.
But I guess I can't say I'm successful at it, but I try, through physical activity, whether it's yoga or running or cycling, I find that those things are really helpful to kind of help keep your mind, somewhat centered.
Sure.
But
well, that's nice too. Nice to have those.
But I think meditation and things along those lines clearly are very helpful for people as well. So something we all need to learn more about, and you can be our teacher on that front.
Okay, well, and also anything you forgot to mention? I wanted to mention anything this one for sure. If you can, share if you have any, of course. And,
I think I just wanted to mention that thank you for being a participant on Engage Asia's webinar.
My pleasure.
And there are a number of Engage Asia also has a kind of mission of building peace through connecting educators and teachers, and through a number of programs. This is a kind of side project, but something I'm passionate about. And so I'd love to do more with the Heiwa Peace and Reconciliation Foundation and you in partnership with Engage Asia, and welcome any of your viewers to tune into the things we're doing, which they can find out about at engageasia.org.
Okay, and then as you know, you are already board member of your foundation now, right? You just accepted recently, so I hope you don't forget.
But I can't. You'll be the one who has to make collaborations happen. So
okay. Well, so you'll be very grateful if you can, and also I just wanted to thank you for accepting to be a MC, master of ceremony on my events or our events on Hiroshima and as well as Nagasaki, and so it's kind of prayers and also peace concert. But we do have some, the message. Mayors of Hiroshima, he said he's try to come as much, and also the Nagasaki mayor is going to be sending us videos and so forth, and so it's more of the religious leaders from the Hiroshima, like a Shinto, Buddhist, and Christian, and then also from the New York, we have all the interfaith group of the people come together. So in a way, it's just like a good, not just one part of the group, but then try to bring many people together. So I'm very grateful that you are able to be a master of ceremony for this one, and I'm really looking forward to working with you. So I appreciate it so much.
Well, I thank you for that, TK. And I think, one of the really important things that you're always doing is building community, right? With your interfaith work, with these kinds of events that are bringing Hiroshima and Nagasaki to people's attention, and trying to build a better world through bringing people together. And so I'm really honored to be a part of that. And
that's early in the morning, so very early.
Yeah. For you, I'll wake up really early, TK.
so no problem. Okay. So anyway, well, thank you so much for today to joining this peace conversation. And so maybe cheers for you. Do you have a cup, right?
I do. Cheers. Cheers. Thank you very much, TK.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So have a great day, and so hope make the this conversation can guide others to the path of the peace too. So thank you again. Appreciate
thank you so much, TK. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.